Now, I know what you're thinking. The background stayed the same as last episode, but it's really convenient to have these books there, so I'm gonna keep staying there for a while. Welcome back everyone to session 4 of my campaign diary. Last we left off, the party left the haunted house, and as they did so, they split up over Salt Marsh. Kieran went to the inn to drink. Jamien went to the market to sell his stuff. And the rest of the party, which was Francesca, Triticure and Bulwark, went to the local priest and asked him for information about undead and how to better get rid of those. As they did so, Triticure found a nobleman named Ender Solomor. This nobleman is of interest to Triticure. The conversation ended with Triticure offering to go after Ender Solomor's dead mother, and Ender Solomor storming off away from the temple. We began the session in the same temple as Triticure and Francesca were still asking the cleric where the local sheriff lives, and he pointed them in the same direction as he did last session when they asked about the library in town. So they set off to there, but as they get outside, Bulwark makes his leave as he is now without any birds, and he has a good idea where he can find his eagle. And he hopes that once he's found his eagle, his raven will return on his own. So Triticure and Francesca together travel towards the sheriff's house, as it is a bit late on the day now, and so they expect the sheriff not to be in the sheriff's office but in his house. And on the way they find Jamien, who informs them that he isn't quite sure if what they did in the haunted house was legal, technically speaking, as he suspects that it would be a bit odd to set out bounties for criminals and then to make bounty collecting illegal. But he is afraid they might have to ask for permission or inform the sheriff before they do anything. With that, they decide that before informing the sheriff, they will have to find out what the law exactly is, and also because of that, since they're not going to the sheriff today, Francesca decides to head back to the haunted house to make sure that the prisoners that they still have there are taken care of, and on one hand can't do anything stupid, on the other hand also won't die in the meantime. While this is happening, Kieran, now a bit outside of the inn, waiting for the clerics to complete their investigation. And as he's waiting there, Kieran notices this large purple feathered bird person walk into the inn and loudly ask anyone who can hear him if they need any evil of vanquishing or innocence to be rescued. A short while later, he notices the bird taking place in the door opening and basically just staying on watch there. About the same time, Triticure and Jamien come to the inn and meet up with Kieran, and together they go see why this bird's sitting there. And as they approach him, the bird introduces himself as Russell Rainbaum III. And he informs them that they are not allowed to enter the inn until the investigations have been completed. And he directly also asks them if they need any innocents to be rescued or have any evils to be vanquished. Jamien tries to ask Russell more about his investigations, but unfortunately Russell doesn't know much. He just knows that it's about necromancy probably, and the priests do not wish to be disturbed while they are investigating. Kieran does interject with this and shares what he knows about these clerics. They are suspecting the owner of the tavern to have something to do with the purchase of necromantic materials, and they know that Cooper probably has brought him these materials, and they are looking for Cooper to try and find out how these goods are moved through large parts of the country. Damien, not happy with this situation and not being allowed to enter his own inn, decides that he's going to go to the sheriff to ask about these investigations and see if the sheriff knows anything about this. Luckily for all of them, the sheriff doesn't live too far away from the inn, and it takes them only a little while before they get there. They come at him with basically two questions. One is about the clerics that are investigating the inn right now, and they also would like to know about if there's anything about Ender's mom that he knows that can help them, like routes that ships are taking or anything like that. And they also hope to subtly ask him about the bounties and how that system works. It doesn't take long, however, for Tritakir to get quite specific in the questions he's asking, and he starts asking, well, still carrying the large cart of stolen goods that Cooper originally brought. The stolen goods are from the haunted house, and the cart was from Cooper. So Tritakir's still carrying that, and he starts asking some specific questions about, hey, what if we happened to, or if someone happened to come across some stolen goods that they knew were stolen, but they didn't get through stealing. Would it be okay to keep that, or should we return it somewhere? That in combination with the already questions about what if we came across some pirates and we decided to, and they attacked us and we killed them, could we collect those bounties? With that, Islander, the sheriff of Saltmarsh, in the original module, I think he's the guard captain, but everyone keeps calling him sheriff, so why change it? With that, he's not a dumb person. He's actually quite smart, and he figures out just not exactly what happened, not where it happened or how it happened, but he does figure out they came across some criminals, bandits, or pirates, and they were attacked, they killed their attackers, and now they have their goods. So he does make a check around the and notices mostly the crates of silk and the brandy, because those are very recognizable as the silk belonging to the Primeweather family and the brandy to the Solomor family. And Solomor family is the same Enders as they are trying to help them. So on both the parts of Gallon's or on the part of the stolen goods, and also on the bounty posters, he refers to them to Gallon Primewater, as when he took office as the sheriff of this place not very long ago, Gallon offered to at least temporarily handle all the bounty posters and spreading those around and making sure they're up to date, as to give Islanders some space in the area to get to know the right people and make himself known out there, as Islander is actually in Saltmarsh quite well liked because how he handles disputes on the docks and is able to turn what used to be quite often violent conflicts between sailors and merchants into much more peaceful and simple solutions. And with that, he also sends him to Gallant for the contraband that they found, as he says it, Gallant is famous for being very generous to people who bring back his stuff, and that's one of the reasons, according to people in Saltmarsh, that not a lot of it's stolen from him, as everyone knows that bringing it back to Gallon is extremely rewarding and worthwhile doing. And since he has now has basically figured out what they were doing, they confessed to Islander that they went to the haunted house. They found some pirates and smugglers there, and they killed or defeated or captured them, and now they're not sure what to do with the people. So and with that, Islander tells them that the next morning he and a dozen guards or so will go to the haunted house and make a sweep of it and see what they can make of it. To which everyone except for Triticure panics a little bit, as there is still the walking, talking skeleton living there. But they figure they can hide Aveta while he's there and hopefully avoid that confrontation. So, well, that was technically the end of the conversation in game. There were two other things they talked about. First, the route to Solomor's mother, or the ship route that the route that the ship where she was on took, and Islander is quite sure that he has that route. He just has to find it. He'll bring it tomorrow when they go to the haunted house. And they also asked him about the clerics that are now investigating the inn, and he explains to them that they are technically not part of any law enforcement officially, but they do help, and he knows that they are genuine in their investigations or in their efforts to destroy necromancy. So he's not gonna stop them. He's definitely gonna let that help him. Before they go to warn Francesca and Aveta about the soldiers coming tomorrow, not soldiers, guards coming tomorrow, they decide to speak with Galen as to find out if there were any bounties they can in, and give him his stuff back. They approach Galen's manor. They are greeted by a couple of guards who just take a look at them but don't really interact or do anything. They are led in basically by a butler who then leads Galen to them, as Galen was apparently expecting them, or at least expecting one of them. Galen does end up buying his stuff back for a lot of gold, as the rumors about him said he would. And for the bounty posters, he does take out some of the more well-known pirates in the area and place them before them, and they find out that though the smaller or the people that they have in custody and the people they've killed now don't have any bounty on them, the leader that escaped does have a 200 gold bounty on them, and with it also he is known to work with 3 other large or major pirates who all also have large bounties on them, and there is even a reward for stopping the entire crew, basically. Like, if you make sure that this pirate crew won't function as a pirate crew again, then there's a larger bounty as defeating the larger names. Before he lets them leave, Galen does ask Jamian to have a short one-on-one chat with him, and that chat I'll talk about in the second part of this video. When Jamian returns from his private chat, they leave. Galen gives him a small box with money, the agreed upon amount in the for the silk, and they decide to split up again. Jamian and Kieran go to the haunted house to warn Francesca and Aveta, and Triticure returns to the inn. And as Jamian, Francesca and Kieran now, they decide they can just hide Aveta underwater while the investigation is going, and then get him back up as when the guards leave. When they're done, Jamian decides to head back to the inn, and Kieran decides to stay at the haunted house and ask Aveta about some alchemy tips and some small hints. And basically what ends up happening is Aveta is spending most of his time right now making sure his old alchemy garden is up to speed again and completing it again, and Kieran ends up helping him with making that, while Aveta explains a lot about how different plants that they're putting in the ground right now will help later with different potions. In the meantime, about 20 minutes before Triticure arrives back at the inn, Russell or the investigations in the inn are done, and Russell does decide to remain in the inn waiting for the rest of the group to return. At this point, he has dealt with a lot of the normal, usual patrons of the inn, and word at this point has spread through Saltmarsh about the something happening in the inn and the inn being closed for the time being. And as Triticure returns with having gotten the advice to either drink the brandy himself or sell it somewhere far, but he actually isn't planning on going anywhere far, they decide to open a bottle and chug it down with the two of them. A couple hours later, when Jamian returns to the inn, he finds both Russell and Triticure dancing on the cart that they've been carrying up till now, and he also notices a lot of puke around the inn, a little bit on the inside, but mostly on the outside around the inn. As Triticure held his own right, but Russell definitely didn't. Jamian, understandably not being very happy about this, orders them to clean it up, which is easily enough done because Russell has the prestidigitation spell, so he cleans up with that. And after that, he locks both Triticure and Russell out of the inn. Once they realize they've been locked outside, Triticure and Russell both bury themselves in the front yard and go to sleep there. The next morning they have a bit of a rough awakening as Islander, along with 12 guards, marches on the inn and wakes them up. He has with him also the route that Anders' mom took. They do check for Jamian, but he left to make sure he could warn Aveta to hide. They hide Aveta underwater and wait for the guards to appear. When they do so, two of the guards directly pick up the captured pirates and bring them to the sheriff's office, while the rest make a sweep through the house and basically come to the same conclusion as the party did. Like, was used for temporary storage, and they had a way of communicating with ships on the open sea. Not much interesting until while they are speaking with Islander, one of the younger guards appears and he says, "Sir, there is a skeleton and it's floating in the water." This isn't a problem yet, as Alan doesn't know what it's about yet, but once that is being said, Triticure directly explains about, "Oh yeah, that's because we found Aveta and he is underwater now there." Triticure's not a very good liar, but fortunately Francesca can transform that statement of "we found Aveta and helped him to, we found his remains, and his last wish was to be spread in the sea, or have his remains be brought to the sea, and so we did that for him." And to Islander, this obviously makes a lot more sense than there's a living skeleton walking around in this haunted house for a long time. So he does believe them. The session ended with the party just among themselves talking, now with Russell with them, as that is the character of Cooper's player, new character. And as they are talking, they also happen to find out that Triticure is only 4 years old, and with that, everyone but Russell realizes normal Dragonborn aren't 6'7" at 4 years old. I'm not sure if that is actual size. That's where we ended, with the party making a leave for Triticure's home. We're now off to the second part of the episode, where everyone in my campaign isn't allowed to watch. I'll probably put a timer up or a compilation of all the noises that are interrupting me. As we begin the second part, I would like to take us back a couple of paces, back to when Jamian got asked by Galen for their one-on-one conversation. I took Jamian in a different voice chat, so the rest of the players don't know what happened there. What did happen there is that Jamian has a bounty on his head, and that Galen has offered him, since I don't actually know when it came up in the original or in the normal chat or in normal talk with Gal anymore, but it did come up with that they are searching for Anders' mom and that the ship she was on, Galen knows that there is also something that is very valuable to him on. So he talks with Jamie and gives him a bit of a speech of you seem like a good person and you're probably someone in a bad situation. Actually, now that I think about it, he did a bit of his research and he actually knew at least the crimes that Jamie committed, the multiple deaths that happened when Jamie was trying to break in somewhere, trying to steal something very valuable, and then escaping a highly secure prison. But since he's noticed Jamie here, noticed that he hasn't been doing anything terrible or aggressive, and now actually he's being very helpful to the community and even bringing him his stuff back, he would like to give Jamie a second chance. And so he offers him, if you on your way while finding this woman can in that ship find a small box, and he shows him the type of box that it should be, and can bring me either that box itself or the contents of that box, then I'll make sure that these wanted posters won't be any trouble as long as you stay in Saltmarsh. With that, he also offers actually to arrange for a ship for him, as Galen has enough ships to do that, and fishing season is over, so he has too many ships at this point, really. So he arranges for a ship where which they can chase the Ender's mom with, and then also do his mission. I kept it split specifically because of the couple of things about Jamie's backstory, but also because Jamie hasn't told the rest of the party why specifically they got the ship. He just told them that he has with Galen arranged for the ship. Then to my preparation for this session, I was mostly focused on the pirates, or I didn't know exactly what we were going to do. So I mostly focused on the pirates and the wizard living a bit outside of Saltmarsh, as Jamie had been talking out of character about that he wanted to visit the wizard, and the pirates were mostly because I still want to do something with them. I at this point have a very different plan, so I'm glad nothing happened with them. But I did manage to grab some things from last session and put them in this session, as for example the idea of Galen wanting to speak to Jamie was something actually from last session, but now put it in here. The point that I'm a little bit afraid that this is not going to be clear to the players what's happening, and I am looking for a way to make it more obvious for them, since it would feel mean to do it without them realizing what's happening, basically. But right now, last thing Ender said to Triticure was that he suspected him of working for the traditionalists who wanted mine gone, because that's what Triticure asked him for. Triticure technically doesn't work for the traditionalists, as long as he manages this task without being part of the traditionalists and without being at some ploy for that, for the traditionalists. He won't. It will work. Anders will be grateful to him. But what they're doing right now is directly speaking to Galen, which is one of the most important persons of among the traditionalists, who and going on one of his ships to do this whole thing. So to Anders, it's very much going to look like they they're doing this just out of a political move, which he's not going to appreciate, because to him it's obviously very personal thing that's happening, and like no one would want the disappearance of their mother to become part of some political struggle. But as I said, I feel like that I need to make that somehow clear to the party. But we'll see what happens. And also, one more though. This one he maybe forgot since it's a bit of a smaller thing, but he definitely did realize when they captured those prisoners, or when they captured those pirates and gave them to the city watch or the town's guards. They are basically now waiting in a cell until they are being going to be judged by a constable. But when that happens, there's like an 80 or 90% chance that they are going to be sent straight to the mine to work there, as though it is owned and operated by dwarves. Most of the actual mining is done by prisoners of Saltmarsh. Anyway, that's going to be that for this session. I hope to see you in the next one. The next one will be both episode 5 and 6, as 6 was very short, so I just mashed it in the end of 5. I hope I'll see you next time, and bye bye.